Hello and welcome to the news tonight. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold, and on sign language we're joined by Elizabeth Nakakoni. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Tshisekedi in Uganda on a two-day state visit. President Museveni urges African countries to promote trade. Bulambuli residents cry foul over flood. And in sports, DSTV commits to fund swimming federation. Well, it's always a pleasure and you're welcome to the news tonight. Now, for our story, President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo of the Democratic Republic of Congo is here on a two-day state visit, telling his host, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in a tete-a-tete meeting that he is consulting in the region to see how the country can shift from a conflict zone to economic cooperation. President Tshisekedi said that he is also seeking consultation on eliminating the negative forces in the region through reconciliation and repatriation so that they can live peacefully as one people. President Yoweri Museveni welcomed his guest to Uganda and said that he was happy that despite colonial borders, they were slowly coming back together as Africans. President Yoweri Museveni said for the East African and African country in general, prosperity comes by doing business with each other because this helps us produce goods and services instead of importing. The two leaders later held a closed-door meeting. They are due to issue a joint communique and address the media. In more state news, President Yoweri Museveni has urged strongly Africans to continue to promote trade as one of the strategies that will ensure survival for the continent and the prosperity of the people. The president was opening the Uganda Democratic Republic of Congo Joint Business Forum at Munyonyo that is running under the theme Promoting Bilateral Trade for Mutual Peace and Prosperity. The one-day conference was attended by business delegations from Uganda and neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as the line ministers from the two countries. The governor of Beni in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mr. Nyonyi Wanakawa, and that of Ituri, also in the DRC, Mr. Jean Bamanisa Saidi, among others, were also present at the business forum. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who warmly welcomed the DRC delegation to Uganda, informing them that we are one people divided by colonial boundaries, said that trade in the region started very many years ago.
Grace, this meeting.
Both governments should harmonize immigration procedures, fees, and visa requirements for travelers from the two countries.
Président de la République, je voudrais avant toute chose vous remercier au nom du président de la République.
I would like to thank you on behalf of the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mr. Felix Tshisekedi, for such an overwhelming welcome that you have reserved for all of us, representatives from the Congo.
Les commodités qui ont été mises à notre disposition.
Congo and East Africa have been having the trade since time immemorial. This part of the world was divided into five parts, five zones. There was the zone of the coast of the Indian Ocean. If you look at the trade figures of Africa, you'll find now they're importing a lot from China, from India, from Japan. Now, when you're importing from China, from Japan, you are supporting the prosperity of the Japanese. So I really appeal to Africans to wake up. Africains, beaucoup dormir. We need the market of the whole of Africa. And there should be no taxes on the border. There should be no taxes. What we should concentrate on is the quality good. Then the business can produce where it is cheapest. This is good for everybody. The citizens of Africa get cheap and good quality goods.
Another round of applause for the
Well, in other news, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni wants Kampala Capital City Authority to partner with Scania bus manufacturers in Sweden to convert waste into biofuel and can be used for buses in the central business district. The president was speaking during a meeting he held with a delegation of 15 Swedish investors from Europe, led by a Swedish ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Per Lingard, who called on him at State House Lodge in Nakasero. The investors, who included Toben Shohom of ABB Substations, Henrik Thornberg of Stanbic, Boris Kesen of Meters Energy, Leandro Mota of QGMI, Logdao Paroloff of Swico, Rason Kibedon of Unipower, and Magnus Wenner of Voith, Hans Olof Raumann, a businessman, and Johan Kenrid of Staffanstorp, among others, are interested in the areas of public transport and energy. They also want to establish a Scania bus assembly plant in Uganda and in converting waste into biofuel. Addressing his guests, President Museveni said that in terms of doing business, Africa as a continent, and Uganda in particular, is the place to invest in. Biofuel is any fuel that is derived from biomass, that is, plant or algae material or animal waste. Since such feedstock material can be replenished readily, biofuel is now considered to be a source of renewable energy. Furthermore, Bulambuli residents are yet to come to terms with the floods that rendered them homeless. At Nabongo Sub-County, local leaders are worried of possible exposure of risks of waterborne diseases. The situation has since attracted the attention of Parliament, with the Committee of Natural Resources visiting the area to assess the situation. Let's have a look.
This is Buekada village, Bumasoko parish in Nabongo Sub-County, in the Elgon district of Bulambuli, Bugisu sub-region. On site, welcoming are remains of what appears to be a disaster, just enough for any resident to worry about. Mary Mutonyi has been married here for several years, but not anything close to these floods had ever happened until this year 2019.
Na menyana kimyaka kabiri uhamanga ndandika khusala nari kamezi sikaliha mueria munota khulima moko khulima kamapondi buli sile shos khulima.
Right in this sitting room like setup are some properties left, including this water pot from which this young girl draws some water for drinking. Initially, the room worked as a restroom for Margaret Mutonyi's 90-year-old mother, who is suffering from stroke. She has since been shifted to a temporarily safer shelter within the homestead.
Ifulaya ngametika itula musisengesa akona kwarera kubulira alafu na ni bunyifu bukali nabye ali mulwale nabulwe bunyifu ate bwongera mu bulwale.
Behind this hut are latrines and a dustbin, all submerged in water, posing a health risk to this family. This similar challenge has extended to other families, including that of Bukua Kutosi, in this bad-looking situation as it appears.
When it rains, we experience large flows of water coming from up at the higher speed, washing away our things, our crops, and even sometimes it breaks down. Actually, it has broken down most of our community members' houses.
Some of my walls of the house got broken, and some, the standing ones, are in a crucial condition.
The confinement of crops in water floods could spell another disaster in what may result into famine and hunger. It is a worry that has kept Alice Nandutu pondering on what she will do for the 9 children she currently mothers. She has lived here since 1991 without any incident. This similar worry has not spared anyone, including area local leadership, that blames the floods on stone quarrying activities in the area by cement processing factories. In light of all this, sub-county and district leaders want an immediate intervention by government.
When we continue, people, one time, the disaster might be beyond this one, and I'm appealing to the government to come to rescue this situation as it is still.
The Natural Resources Committee of Parliament has now embarked on a fact-finding mission to the area. The question of whether the plight of these residents will be addressed will be answered in our next episode tomorrow on Sunday. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Well, we look forward to the further developments of that story. Thank you, Henry. Now, in other news, transport between Palisa and Kaliro districts continue to be paralyzed for about 2 weeks now after heavy rains. The rains that washed away the bridge across the Saka swamp that connects the two districts has affected business. The chairperson, Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, Kefa Chiwanuka, urges the relevant government authorities to intervene.
When rains swept away Saka Bridge, connecting Kaliro and Palisa districts in the Busoga sub-region of eastern Uganda, this is what residents resorted to. Boat transport was the only option to cross over to the opposite side, which unfortunately is time-wasting and costly. All road users here have been left stranded, rendering motorists and cyclists hopeless, including women. To be able to cross to another, one has to part with some money, as the situation remains unfriendly.
To buy chicken, hens, just now. Last week, when this thing occurred, has affected my business because I used to come this way. When you go back, you also get something for survival, including these people from this way. They access funds, they are charcoal, they are from office, they get money. Now we are requesting the government of Uganda to try his level of this to see that they put this road right.
These are some of the reasons why the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources has visited the area to assess the situation.
At the moment, if the bridge is there, it takes about 45 minutes from Mumbale traveling to Kaliro. However, without the bridge this morning, it took us over 2 hours because we had to travel all around, come up to Iganga, and then back towards Palisa. So it's something very urgent that requires urgent attention.
Kefa Kiwanuka wants relevant authorities to intervene.
And I really hope that the responsible agencies, I believe it's UNRWA but they will respond with all the urgency that it deserves. I think on our part as the committee, we will point out as a key issue that we identified as we are traveling in the area, but also work very closely with our colleagues of the Infrastructure Committee to see that the matter is expeditiously handled.
Henry Okurut, UBC.
Urgent help needed right there in eastern Uganda. Now in more news, Islamic University in Uganda has graduated the first batch of medical doctors during the 27th graduation ceremony. The graduation for the 33 graduating doctors in general surgery was held at IUIU Mbale campus. The second Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of East African Community Affairs, Ali Chirunda Chevejinja, who represented the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, hailed IUIU for contributions it is rendering to the country. Speaking during the graduation, the university rector, Dr. Ahmed Kawesa Sengendo, called for the need for more medical doctors in the country in order to meet the world standards. He also hailed IUIU management for the good environment that led them to success.
Best university with a strong moral foundation in Uganda. Today, I note with great satisfaction
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Chairman, sir, I have Mr. Chairman, sir, I have the honor to present to you the candidates.
The government would like to passionately appeal to our new medical doctors to always work and cherish the values of this university and the demands of the profession by upholding the highest ethical standards as you undertake your chosen calling.
Take or knowingly administer any harmful to my people and no family affairs coming to my knowledge the practice of my calling. Leo Teulai Labor to 18 candidates who have successfully completed.
The United Government has The United Government has commended Uganda for its role in fighting against antimicrobial responsible for over 700 deaths globally. Now, Dr. Nelson Lisa at the Center for the Disease Control, representing the U.S. ambassador, applauded this in the JASH GDC antimicrobial conference. We take a look.
The National Institutes of Health Antimicrobial Resistance is the ability of microbes to grow in the presence of a chemical that would normally kill them or limit their growth. Addressing participants at the JASH GDC AMR conference, Dr. Nelson Lisa, the CDC director representing the U.S. ambassador, applauded Uganda's role in fighting the epidemic to promote public health.
I thank the government of Uganda for being among the very first countries to establish an enabling environment to combat antimicrobial resistance according to its National Action Plan.
The State Minister for Primary Health Care, Dr. Joyce Moriku Kaduchu, called upon Ugandans to desist from the habit of self-medications, but rather embrace Minister of Health's test and treat policy in order to wreak and break antimicrobial resistance.
You come with a prescription from a recognized medical doctor or a medical professional practitioner. Once you have that prescription, then the pharmacist looks at it and gives it accordingly. But oftentimes people just come and say, I want Partem, I want Cipro, I want Keftraxone. And the pharmacist just goes and gives because of money. That is why we are saying, let's all rise up and say no.
She advised pharmacies and drug shops to give out prescribed drugs upon receipt of a written prescription from a credible health facility. Antimicrobial resistance makes it harder in the elimination of infections from the body as existing drugs become less effective. According to Kandekere Isifu, a medical representative from Troika Pharmacy, this habit is more practiced in local areas and leads to loss of lives.
If a doctor has written one prescription from a guy from a village, he will take that prescription, that very prescription will serve the entire community. And if for us as Troika, we actually we don't encourage that kind of practice. That's why if we manufacture these drugs, we actually come to see the people that are responsible, that are the doctors.
Uganda is the first country to combat against antimicrobial epidemics in securing the economy. The operation in the country was launched in August this year. Ambokanya Ibrahim and Jamil Sekaja reporting for UBC TV News.
UBC district is one of the nature-gifted area of Uganda, although access to basic needs like safe water, education and opportunities to health services remain a challenge. The chairman of UBC district, Sylvester Aguboshongolera, says that though the district is well endowed with natural resources like lakes and rivers, forests and wetlands, it is choking on water scarcity, as this report shows us.
Rubirizi is one of the districts in Uganda that is well endowed with natural resources like forests, fertile soils that support agriculture, has 32 lakes, and the catchment area for Kazinga Channel that connects Lakes Edward and George. However, despite this, residents complain of poor road network to access these resources. Their service provision is poor and water provision is still low.
But our people are water stressed because they are the volcanic lakes, so kupampinga yameizi nonda sente nyingi. After I'm begging MP, place for those areas, Kashaka, Kazinga, Kishenyi, to be categorized as hard to reach areas.
The minister in charge of Rural Affairs, Ines Chiza, has now promised action against those sabotaging service delivery and access to government services in the district.
But one of the things that irritated me is about drugs coming to the district. They spend 2 weeks without going to the health centers. That's not acceptable.
Ines Chiza was officiating Rubirizi District Community Public Forum, also known as Baraza, where members listened in and sought for answers from district heads of departments.
The population wants service. The population is sick. They go to the hospital and they are told that we have no drugs. Yet the drugs are lying at the district. So, as government, we are not going to tolerate that.
The Resident District Commissioner Rubirizi, Harriet Nakamya, chaired the meeting and hailed residents for being resilient to disruptive rains and managing the moist Nyakasharu playground to attend the meeting organized by the Office of the Prime Minister.
And even you see the concern for the community, they have been complaining a lot. So it was good because they raised many questions. Didn't know that up to till now, the drugs they are still in store. I just done it today. So now I'm going to be so keen when we do receive drugs.
The chairperson of Rubirizi District, Sylvester Aguboshongolera, appealed for the repair of district feeder roads, provision of safe water for residents, and proper drainage for the district's main town, Nyakasharu Trading Center.
It has been proven that we have the best honey and we have a big economic area. The work was supported in that line.
Their member of parliament, Engineer John Tamuhira Twesije, promised to make a follow-up on service provision, especially drugs and medicine supply at Rugazu Hospital and other centers in the district.
Government, our border, our NMC, National Medical Stores, NMS.
Residents challenged district heads of departments over poor service delivery. Rubirizi district economy is reliant on tourism, fishing, beekeeping, and banana growing. Habimana Deu, reporting for UBC News, Lubirizi.
We introduce to you the first and ever My Right to Play Christmas Kids Festival 2019. Let the kids feel the Christmas Eve on the 21st of December at the Legend Sports Ground in Lugogo. Entrance is 10,000 shillings only and parents free. Bring your child and have an opportunity to play, sing, dance and discover their talents. Mujetu ingira mazalibwa nga abato basanyisa bato bannabwe. Mulete abaana bammwe banyumirwe banywe bazanye. Kino kigenda kubeera kijjabe. Proudly sponsored by Legend Sports Ground, UBC TV, Star TV, U24 TV, Star FM, Magic 100 FM, UBC Butebo, Marketing, UMC Victoria Hospital, and Ideas Workshop. Bwe oyagala omwana okuyimba kuba ku ssimu eno.
Inspirational moment with Pastor Jackson Senyonga of Christian Life Church.
The devil weakens people. And that is what the devil wants. In his reign, he wants to destroy that which God is doing. And send the supreme ruler who governs your life and controls it every single day. He said, I'm going to ascend. And that is the intent of the enemy. And when I look in your life, I look at my life, I look at our lives, there are more signs in your life that the devil is controlling you than the Lord leading you. That's what the devil wants. He will not ascend over your life. He's not going to be over your life. Even in your clan, even in your family, God will not let the enemy rise up over you and control you.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news tonight. And now in the world of business, Mityana district residents have been asked to embrace agriculture and supply produce to freshly opened factories in the area. Crops identified include sugarcane, cassava, mangoes, pineapples and sweet potatoes. Details follow.
Farmers in Mityana district have a reason to smile, following an increased demand for agricultural produce to feed the newly opened factories in the area. The district is renowned for growing tea, maize, sugarcane, cassava, mangoes, coffee, pineapple and sweet potatoes, among others. The Residents District Commissioner in Mityana, Isha Ntumwa, now wants residents to embrace agriculture to raise produce for the factories.
Encouraging the people of Mityana and Uganda at large to embrace agriculture, because now agriculture has become a profession. It is actually now a job. Somebody can be employed in his garden, because we have had so many investors who have set up industries that need raw materials from agriculture, like sweet potatoes, like maize, like sugar cane, name it. So instead of our youth going to the town to make these noises and ride the borders, it is now an opportunity for them to be employed in our.
The proprietor of Imana Yeda factory, Abdul Latif Kwizera, says that since 2017, when the factory was established, the demand for agricultural produce has increased.
We use our locally produced materials. We use tea. We use pineapples. We produce our juice from even bananas. So I'm encouraging and appealing to the farmers, please, let us plant, let us eat, let us not sleep, to have a good future.
Kwizera commends government for the conducive environment which has enabled investors to establish factories and enable them to reduce the rampant unemployment burden. Fred Kasibante compiled this report.
This year's financial reporting awards have been won by Stanbic Bank, who scooped
Stanbic Bank Uganda.
Stanbic has moved from the second position of last year's Fire Awards competition to win gold trophy, followed by Uganda.
Very excited and very humbled to be accepting this award. It means a lot to us, and this is the first time I've seen my finance team dance outside the office, so this means a lot. But I have to first of all thank the sponsors for this great event, USP, Capital Markets, Ice Power, New Vision. This is truly an excellent.
Last year, the three companies were neck to neck, with National Social Security Fund beating them all, followed by the current gold winner Stanbic Bank and Uganda Development Bank, respectively. Buganda Katikiro Charles Peter Maiga officiated the function and urged heads of departments.
But I think the biggest hindrance to growth to small and medium enterprises is the failure to have procedures that can tell you whether you're making a loss or a profit. The procedures that would warn you against marrying a second wife upon making the first profit. And they want to get away with it. And so we appeal to you. We will continue the dialogue that we already started, but we appeal to you, help us light the candle, light the fire for this country, so that in this sector, this financial sector, we are able to.
He handed over a 2 million shilling check from TESA 2 house repairs.
For rehabilitating the house in which Sekabaka Ntesa II resided in when he was at Makerere University in 1944. And they gave me a check, and they said that check will be handed over after this ceremony to you to support the work that you're doing in restoration of the artistic.
The Minister for Public Service, Wilson Muruli Mukasa, has said that minimum wage is likely to scare away investors. The women wing of NOTU is spearheading a campaign to end gender-based violence in places of work. During the highly attended meeting at Hotel Africana in Kampala, members of the parliament representing workers advocated ratification of treaties against gender-based violence and improved conditions of work. Details follow.
Workers' representatives in the trade unions and the parliament have condemned segregation, sexual harassment, meager and selective remunerations toward women at work.
For Uganda to continue to have a minimum wage of 6,000 shillings in this day and age is extremely pathetic.
The only way we can fight any bad behavior is through sensitization like this one.
The Chairman General of NOTU, Arthur Wilson Owere, expressed dissatisfaction over the relocation of Workers' Fund in the National Social Security to the Finance Ministry, saying the move was uncalled for.
What we want is we want to see National Social Security Fund under Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. The other aspect of financial can be monitored by Minister of Finance, because Minister of Finance does not have the capacity of social security.
The Minister of Public Service, Wilson Muruli Mukasa, reaffirmed government's position on minimum wage.
That is one of the ideals of one of the things we desire. But as we desire it, we treat carefully, knowing that when the conditions and the dynamics are right, then we can have that minimum wage. And slowly we can avoid the economic violence.
Excitement here is going to bring
Twoki says that Ugandan girls continue to be battered, raped, and harassed in Middle East.
To want to empower women to know their rights, to ensure that these women can fight for themselves, can fight for their families, can fight for the girl child. Because if a woman is empowered, you have empowered a nation.
She also complained of Uganda's insecure employment and advised the Ministry of Labour to help protect Ugandans working abroad.
What I've told our members of parliament, let that bill come back to parliament, let them address the issue which was raised by the president, let that bill go back to the president. If the bill is not signed, then it becomes law.
And in Uganda, story compiled by Douglas Satumba for UBC News.
The State Minister for Tourism, Chawanda Subi, has lauded efforts by education institutions to prioritize extracurricular activities that also play a big part in instilling values among the youth. Chawanda says that with skills development and values like respect learnt from an early age, many problems would be solved in the future.
Government has a program of skilling all Ugandans to make them employable. However, this initiative is being degraded to a number of institutions, including those in the urban setting. While at Global Junior School Mukono, State Minister for Tourism Chawanda Subi was seemingly amused with talent at Uganda's disposal, which he thinks may help solve the unemployment question.
It's a challenge. How we sustain such a population? If we care very well for such a population, our country will prosper, because we shall be having a skilled labor force. And once you have a skilled labor force, it means that it's very easy for such people to be employed. And the head teacher was saying here that the job industry today is not just looking for the job seekers, but they're looking for all the skills that can add value to the development of our country. And that's what Global is doing for our country.
The school head teacher Anthony Sentongo urged government to facilitate retraining programs, even amongst private institutions, to improve teachers' stock. He took turns to preach to parents about the necessity of extracurricular activities like music, dance and drama, which more often play a better role in instilling values like respect.
Some of you parents, you only come here and demand, falls, 5, 6, and when you don't give careful, you go quarreling that this school has done nothing to my child. But you have seen, this is what we do to these children, and you cannot realize now, but I just pray that one child will appreciate that these children have values, skills that are beyond the academic excellence. And that's what we are here to give you.
In the music, dance and drama competition, 4 houses, Neptune, Mars, Mercury and Jupiter from the lower level competed in various attributes including skits, mimes, creative and traditional dance, among others. Ultimately, Mercury, that had a key performer Alpha Kiwanuka, triumphed with 551 points. John Barnes, Centum, reporting.
Let's now take a short break and be back with more news. Stay tuned. And now on the international scene, global medical companies are displaying their latest cutting-edge products designed to meet various healthcare needs at the ongoing second China International Import Expo in Shanghai. The huge exhibition space for medical equipment and healthcare products has gathered a number of leading medical and healthcare manufacturers from around the world, of which more than 60 of the Fortune Global 500 companies attended. The second edition of the expo seeing 10% increase compared to last year. Many of the products being exhibited focus on most processing health issues, offering a number of high-tech solutions. For example, Varian Medical Systems, a major U.S. company in the field of radiotherapy, has brought an intelligent medical system based on developing internet and 5G technology. With the promotional slogan of "Not Afraid of Cancer," the product is aimed at providing patients with a full treatment plan to tackle diseases head-on. Meanwhile, Swedish medical equipment producer Elekta is showing its latest medical equipment, which combines the functions of nuclear magnetic resonance and an accelerator and can conduct real-time monitoring to track the movement of cancer cells while administering treatment at the same time. In more news, around 600 flights were cancelled from Germany's Frankfurt airport, one of the airline's largest hubs in Europe, on Friday as cabin crew members from the Lufthansa airline continued their 48-hour strike. The German airline talks with the union organization. The strike is set to continue, but no agreement has yet been reached to bring an end to the dispute. The strike, which started on Wednesday midnight, was led by the flight attendant organized union, which has been calling for better pay and conditions of Lufthansa staff. But organizers say that the talks reached deadlock, which left them with no option but to go on strike. Lufthansa went on court to try to stop the walkouts, but were overruled and entered into a new round of talks with the union. However, both sides failed to reach an agreement, with members of the union insisting that the airline is not negotiating fairly with them. Lufthansa has condemned the strike and issued an apology to those who have been affected by it. Nearly 200,000 passengers have had their journeys either cancelled or delayed as the airline works to help stricken travelers rebook or make alternative engagements. Now in the world of sports, Uganda Swimming Federation has concluded its 2019 local calendar activities with the DSTV-sponsored Invitational National Sprints Gala at James Cambridge International School, Kampala. The event was a collection of the only country's best in select events. We take a look.
Uganda Swimming Federation has set aside avenues to ensure excellent performers get platform to improve their skills that will progressively elevate them to world beaters.
Of course, we have a number of elite swimmers at our level, and we are tracking them. We are providing them with all the necessary assistance. For example, Rebecca Sengozi has an Olympic scholarship. We are trying to find a suitable program for people like Chirabo and others. We have about 8 boys and about 6 girls who are really quite competitive, and we are looking to see how we can keep supporting them.
That resolution was reached after witnessing excellent performances during the second DSTV-sponsored Invitational Sprints Gala at James Cambridge.
Support them in whatever way possible. This swimming competition being one, as well as the awards gala that is coming. We're aiming to have it done before the end of this year, if possible. The date is yet to be set.
This swimming event played a key role for Uganda's team that takes part in the Kana Zone 3 tournament due later this month.
We have over about 200 swimmers today, and they're doing quite well. And we're hoping from here next week, the other week, to be able to go to Kenya for the Zone 3 championships, where nine countries have confirmed: Kenya, Burundi, Rwanda, Eritrea, Sudan, Zambia, South Africa, and Tanzania will be there. And we hope our team of about 30 will do quite well.
Among those that excited was Kirabo Namutebi, who was awesome in the individual medley event. John Barnes, Sentinel, reporting.
Prison's Handball Club has emerged 2019 National Handball League winners after edging Ndeje University in an epic final league game. Our reporter followed the action at Chibuli Police Children's School.
Playing in the black jersey, Prison's Handball Club came into this game knowing that only victories could win them the title. With just a game to play, Ndeje University was ahead on the standings with 22 points, while Prisons in second had 20. This meant that Ndeje, that had an inferior goal difference and needed to avoid defeat against their title rivals to secure the trophy. But unfortunately for Ndeje, Prisons were pumped for this game and despite starting on the wrong foot, recovered ably to secure a memorable 37-36 victory that delivered the Holy Grail. The 2019 National Handball League was organized by Gowe Services that are impressed by many things and promise better.
As Gowe Services, we are very grateful for the opportunity given to us to run this league. And as a handballer, as a person passionate about sport, I'm sure there is a lot we can do next year. And basically, it's getting out, look for money, improve the look of venue, create barriers, create seating capacity, try to get in as many sponsors as possible. This year I've concentrated on making sure that we work on ourselves, but next year we shall concentrate majorly on going out.
In the women's category, Nkumba University Tornadoes edged Ndeje 21-19 to seal the league crown with an unbeaten run of 15 games. In other games played, Chengeza beat Uganda Police 28-25 among the men, while a Prison Lady Spears edged UPDF women 29-24, and UPDF men outclassed Police Handball Club. John Barnes, Central, reporting.
Well, that brings us to the end of our News Tonight bulletin tonight. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories before we let you go. President Tshisekedi in Uganda on a 2-day state visit. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni urges African countries to promote trade. Bulambuli residents cry foul over floods. And in sports, DSTV commits to fund Swimming Federation. Thank you for being a part of us. Join us tomorrow at lunchtime, 8 p.m., 7 p.m., and 10 p.m. for more news in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Wadilo Mark Arnold from the team and us. It's good night.
Hi dear friends of UBC, welcome to our program, and we are here to bless you, to help you. Nothing in this world will last forever. Not